Owning your own dinosaur theme park. It is something we all dream about when we are little, and with technologies having skyrocketed over the years, finally, it became a reality. People have tried to create this in the past, and failed every time. Despite the death and carnage, parks have been reopened again and again. But now, it was the time for Konoa and his team of scientists to go at it. Konoa signed a contract giving him access to a large island near Costa Rica. The island was thick with its jungles, rivers, and lakes. The point of entrance for the future Jurassic World had already been made. Visitors would arrive by monorail and then descend towards the park's entrance to be greeted by the sight of dinosaurs. But for the moment, there was nothing but green. This needed to change, and thus Konoa hired workers to deforest the area to make room for future park attractions and dinosaurs. Greenpeace would not be happy with the results, but new forests would be planted as these were necessary for the dinosaurs to live in a pleasant environment. But for the time being, the visitors were the most important issue, and the first stores were built near the entrance. Kids are all about that merch, as they say nowadays, and this park would be no exception, as gifts and toy shops were the first things the customers would see. But these buildings, of course, would require power, and a large power station was built out of sight of the customers. This area would be also where the crew and facility staff would check in each day before heading to their stations. Through wiring, the buildings requiring power were connected to the station. Then it was finally time to start to think about dinosaurs as the first holding area was built. It was a relatively small pen, and currently had some water for the dinosaurs to drink, and would soon be covered with more trees to make the creatures feel at home. At the staff area, a separate cage was built where the incubated dinosaurs would be released before being transported to their associated area in the park. More shops and attractions were built at the main entrance. For his first investment, Konoa started out small and secure, with some small herbivores which lived in packs together. He ordered his scientists to incubate 5 of them. Once the dinosaurs had been shifted to their cage, the park would be ready for business. And thus, the first dinosaur in the park, Dinosaur saw the light of day. It had a friendly and curious character. As they were released in the environment, soon after, they were sedated to be made ready for transport. Via helicopter, they were carefully moved to avoid injuring the animal. The first of the dinosaurs had already been moved as more came in. They were a bit jittery first, but calmed down once they started to explore their pen. They quickly felt at home, as more of their same species were flown in. And with the news of the first dinosaurs having arrived, the first of the customers also made their way to the park. News spread fast of the creation of dinosaurs on this island, and even though there currently was only one species to be seen, many stood in line to get but a glimpse of the ancient beings. Besides seeing the dinosaurs, there was a lot more to do in the park, like bowling, fossil gathering, or playing a game or two at the arcade. But Konoa knew he quickly needed to entertain his customers with more assets, and thus he ordered the incubation of 2 more dinosaurs, this time a Triceratops, and an Ankylosaurus. Their pen had already been built, providing wider access for customers to roam around. One of the Struthiomimus had become sick, and a ranger team was quickly sent in to respond to the emergency. They headed into the sealed-off area and tranquilized the creature before applying the medicine. The fact that it did this so quickly avoided the spreading of the disease to fellow dinosaurs. And then the Triceratops, Konoa's favorite dinosaur since he was a little boy, got welcomed to the park as well as it sniffed in the fresh air. Before being moved once again, he had to be put down temporarily, as the transportation helicopter was already inbound to tangle the creature up. It was a rare sight for people to behold, a gigantic beast like the Triceratops to be flown through the air like that. As the Triceratops was transported, the Ankylosaurus was also ready to be let loose. The Struthiomimus looked with curious eyes as they saw their new neighbor being slowly lifted down into the pen. The sedation made the creatures thirsty, and the Triceratops quickly headed for a drink before taking a stroll to get to know his new environment better. The sight of some yummy leaves made him calm and accustomed to this space. The guests were in awe to see this gigantic herbivore. And the Triceratops would soon not be alone anymore, as the Ankylosaurus was already being flown in. Both creatures did not require to live in a herd, but still appreciated being in the company of other dinosaurs. The Triceratops more so than the Ankylosaurus, as the latter one did have a bit more of a cranky personality. The Ankylosaurus could get annoyed by too much dino activity around it, but with just the Triceratops being around, it was perfect. Guests could enjoy the two new additions from the viewing spaces provided. The sight of the dangerous looking but gentle herbivores made the guest list skyrocket. But Konoa knew it was only a matter of time before the clients wanted to see something more thrilling. Something with sharp teeth. As the park was still too small to deal with some of the bigger predators, Konoa announced publicly that it would welcome its first carnivore soon. The Dilophosaurus was a creature small of stature but vicious in nature. It would still take time for it to be incubated, and in the meantime, the guests enjoyed more of the park's facilities and the magnificent creatures. All staff was on high alert when the Dilophosaurus got released. Though it was small, it could do a lot of damage if not handled right. The other dinosaurs also seemed to notice a change in the air as the carnivore was being shipped closer to their area. The Dilophosaurus, despite its size, was a hunter that preferred to be alone. Nevertheless, it required a large amount of dense forests to feel at home and stay in the shadows before lashing out at its prey. Some extra plants and trees were planted to make the new addition feel more at home. The news of the carnivore was the latest trend on everyone's mind, and all the customers really wanted to see was some blood. For a creature so tiny, the Dilophosaurus was the park's biggest attraction, and once the people got a glimpse, she quickly headed back into the forest. The park was doing great financially and critically, and was now ready to welcome some bigger additions to the dinosaur family.